Please rise for silent invocation, followed by pledge of allegiance. Amen.
Amen.
Pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Thank you. Clerk, call the roll, please.
Councilman Foley?
Here.
Councilman Gephardt?
Here.
Councilman Green?
Here.
Vice Mayor Grubbs?
Here.
Mayor Stiltner?
Here. More present tonight. Item 4, any public comments on consent agenda items only? Hey, Robert.
Mayor, council members, Robert Reinhagen, 1425 Dexter Drive, Port Orange. This is, I was going to talk about, it was number 9, a resolution to approve of a tree conservation easement. So they've got a 5-inch or 12-inch red bay that has a conservation easement around it. And they want to switch it over. They just happen to have a 12-inch oak tree. Now, I don't understand why they weren't both conservation easements. But in reading the staff report, it sounds like they're prepared to tear down the oak, the red bay, and I hope that's not the situation because it's healthy. It's not as healthy as the oak, according to the thing. But so I would recommend that that you don't approve it because you want to keep both trees to the extent that you can. But other than that, I want to talk about the purpose. Item 3 talks about item 1, purpose. The purpose of this tree conservation and access agreement is to assure that certain trees located on the easement premises will be retained or replaced forever, except as prescribed herein, in their existing natural condition and the present use of the easement premises that will impair or interfere with the health and preservation of the center trees. My question is, does the city must have a lot of these easements around, and does the city maintain some sort of register of what these easements are and actually go out there and make sure that these are being preserved properly? Thank you.
Thanks, Robert.
Thank you, Robert.
Anyone else to speak on the consent agenda items only? All right, seeing none. Can I get a motion to approve consent agenda items 5 through 10?
Move to approve consent items 5 through 10.
Second.
There's a motion and a second. Clerk, call the roll.
Councilman Foley?
Yes.
Councilman Gephardt?
Yes.
Councilman Green?
Yes.
Vice Mayor Grubbs?
Yes.
Mayor Stiltner?
Yes, 5-0. On to public participation. Peter Arnold.
I'd like to thank the council for allowing me to speak today. My name is Peter Arnold. I'm a business owner here in Port Orange. I run the Edward Jones Financial Advising Office on Clyde Morris Boulevard. But I come to you today to bring greetings and thanks from the Port Orange South Daytona Chamber of Commerce. I'm also on their board of directors. We greatly appreciate the support we get from the city of Port Orange, so I wanted to just share that with you. Also, just for we have a couple upcoming events. On this coming Thursday, March 6th, the Chamber of Commerce is hosting a Lunch and Learn Develop You session to help business owners develop a blueprint for business success. There's a cost for that. It's $15 for Chamber of Commerce members, $20 for future members, and that's going to be at the Riverside Pavilion here in Port Orange. You can register on the Chamber of Commerce website. Chamber will also be hosting a morning mix and mingle on Friday the 7th. This is for Chamber of Commerce members to meet other business owners. That'll be at the Port Orange Riverside Pavilion at 8 a.m. on Friday the 7th. And then on March 18th, the Chamber of Commerce is also hosting a new member reception. So any new business owners that want to join the Chamber or business owners in the area that are interested in what the Chamber might offer to them, we welcome them to come to the new member reception. And I appreciate your time. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Mr. Arnold. Sarah Hayes. Sarah, as you're walking up, I want to thank you in advance for the email you sent to us. Very well put together, well thought out, a lot of good information there, so I appreciate that. Welcome. Go right ahead.
Good evening, City Council members. My name is Sarah. I'm a resident of Cross Creek within Willow Run. I am here tonight to bring attention to serious and urgent safety concern in our neighborhood, specifically at the intersection of Hidden Lake Drive and Yearling Trail, a crossing point for children walking to and from school. Council, are you familiar with the Cross Creek entryway sign? It's a beautiful landmark welcoming people into our neighborhood, but just beyond that sign lies a dangerous problem: excessive speeding. Just this past Monday, February 24th, a child was nearly hit as multiple speeding drivers failed to slow down while children attempted to cross. This is not an isolated incident. Time and time again, drivers use this stretch of road as a cut-through, often accelerating to speeds of 40 miles per hour, a deadly speed where children and pedestrians are walking. This intersection is a serious safety hazard, and we need immediate action. We are requesting the installation of a 4-way stop sign at Hidden Lake Drive and Yearling Trail, along with flashing beacons, improved signage, speed humps, and clearly marked crosswalks to enhance visibility and driver awareness. Nearby neighborhoods like Ponce Inlet, South Daytona, and Daytona Beach have lighted crosswalks, so why not us? Our community deserves the same level of protection. We have a great support group that showed up tonight. Everyone wave hi. A recent speed study conducted on Hidden Lake Drive found that out of nearly 6,000 vehicles monitored, 70% were exceeding the posted 25 mile per hour speed limit. The highest speeds were recorded between 12 p.m. and 3 p.m., right when children were traveling home from school. These numbers make it clear there is a serious safety concern. Please see email for traffic studies. Many pedestrians cross at this location, making these improvements essential for safe access to schools, parks, and other key destinations. I know the City of Port Orange values the safety of its residents. Implementing these measures will not only slow down speeders, but also remind them that this is a neighborhood, not a shortcut. Tonight, I urge you to take action. A 4-way stop, speed humps, crosswalks, and additional signage will help save lives. Let's work together to protect the children and families of Port Orange, not after another fatality. Thank you.
Thank you.
Sarah, real
Appreciate it,
quick,
Sarah.
could you just say that intersection name again? You said it, but it was Hidden Lake and what?
Yearling Trail.
Okay, thank you.
Thank you, sir. Lisa, I apologize. Tighe? Tighe? Yeah. Tighe?
Yes.
I apologize for mispronouncing.
That's okay.
Go ahead,
I
Karen.
tell my husband it's T.I. useless letters, so.
Yeah, welcome.
Hi. So I'm here again. I'm Lisa Ty, 714 Herbert Street. I'm here again because the issues of the flood prevention have been ignored. You flooded us, and you have as long as you like to try and remedy our situation. And yet I get this notice at Bike Week because I've got weeds and outdoor storage displayed. I'm sorry, I've been flooded twice. I really don't have time when I'm trying to fix my house to deal with this. If you don't have to fix my flooding issue, then I don't have to fix my yard, and I should not be penalized. That's number one. Number two, when you know that there's flooding down Herbert Street, why do you divert traffic down there? I mentioned this before when I was here right after Milton. Even the police are speeding down that road. And they're not speeding, but the water is this high. The water was coming up over the top of my house, into my house. And yet your solution is to say instead of 35 miles an hour on Herbert Street, let's make it 30. They didn't follow 35 miles an hour. What are they going to follow 30? They don't. Okay, so now, then we have the golf course. Golf course gets a special meeting, but our flooding doesn't? Our flooding can just keep happening. That's really special. I'm really impressed. You've got this money sitting $30 million park and recreation fund that was put on the ballot, and everybody approved it. No indication of when it's going to be paid back, how it's going to be paid back, how much our taxes are going to be raised. I suggest you stick your little fingers into that pot and buy up these houses that are on Herbert Street, on Eddy Lane, and you make it a park. You put in, make it a preservation. We've got coyotes coming over through there now. We're losing our wildlife that is supposed to be over there because of all the over-construction. My husband took my dogs out to let them out to the bathroom at 5 o'clock in the morning, and there's coyotes running through the neighborhood. My neighbor has a little dog this big. She's afraid it's going to be picked up and eaten. It's ridiculous. There is no more land for these animals to go anywhere. We are in danger. Besides the flooding. So now we have, why do you open up the floodgates to save one neighborhood at the sacrifice of another? The engineer sat here after on the 15th of October and said, oh yeah, we opened up several ponds floodgates. The one right behind my neighbor's house. Why? And then I say, we have flooded and flooded. I'm told, even before Ian, that my house had flooded. It's a flood house. And then I'm told, well, you have to raise it. I have a 2,800 square foot house that's... Thank you for your time.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Not
Alyssa
that anything's gonna be
Diffusco.
done. And I lost $200,000. I can't even sell my house. So you rebuy your house for cash. 5 contracts and they've all ignored me. And I'm losing $200,000 of value in my home.
Alyssa Diffusco. I'm calling the next speaker by name.
No, they don't care. They don't care.
Hey, Alyssa, welcome.
Hi, my name's Alicia and I live in Sugar Forest, and I'm here tonight begging for somebody to help. I bought my starter house in 2017, absolutely loved the neighborhood. It was so conveniently located for me at the time, it wasn't even a flood zone. Since then, my family has grown and I now have a 4-year-old. I've grown to love the location even more so now that I have my son. I have a vision impairment leaving me unable to drive, so being able to walk to his daycare and to and from his future elementary school is huge. Then Hurricane Ann hit us. The neighborhood got destroyed, but I thought all was well and that we got lucky. Then in May of 2024, while cleaning the track to my sliding glass door, I realized there was mold and moisture under my LVP. I was skeptical whether it was from the flooring being laid incorrectly or unnoticed damage from Ann, but I just took care of it and moved on. Now by this time, I already started dreaming and planning on adding on to my house and making it my forever house. Ironically, Hurricane Milton hit us during the same time my contractor was trying to pull the permit. We had an elevation certificate done just days prior to Milton, which determined I was a foot above the benchmark for flooding. Within days, Milton hit and absolutely destroyed us, and once again from the foundation up and way worse than Ann. We are still displaced. No work has even started on our house except for having the foundation waterproofed, which I did out of pocket, and our dreams of turning our starter house into our forever house have been crushed. Now I just dream of being able to live at home with my family again. With all that being said, Madeline Commons, which is being built 0.3 of a mile away from my house, will include 150 new homes. How is Sugar Forest going to survive? Clearly, there is a major drainage issue that is beyond my control. I should have never flooded to begin with, but especially not through the foundation, according to the elevation certificate. It's absolutely mind-boggling to me that major construction continues to take place in a neighborhood that is so vulnerable to flooding. 150 new homes, and then this new storage facility built on the corner of Nova and Madeline, and then Sugar Forest sandwiched in between. Am I just supposed to plan on being homeless every few years? Other than selling, which wouldn't be easy considering there are 7 houses currently up for sale in the neighborhood, along with dumpsters in every other driveway, it feels completely hopeless. It seems as if no one cares, from the city to FEMA and every agency in between. Prior to the past 20 weeks, I've never felt like such a number. And I have my elevation certificate if anybody wants it.
If that's a copy you want us to have, you can just give that to the people. Shirley Rice. Excuse me, wait just one second, Shirley. Where'd Alyssa go? Is that a document you need back, or is that a copy? Okay, just want to make sure. Thank you.
Thank you.
Shirley, welcome. Go right ahead.
Hi. I have questions more than I'm part of the flooding also. There were purchases made to build a great big lake to help. What is the status on that?
This is your time to speak. We can comment on stuff when you're done. Go ahead.
Okay. I would like to know what the status on starting that, because it was supposed to be started in '25. So that is our help. We also had a special meeting with some people representing FEMA, some very nice people, and they tried to get our information. Do you have any results on that? We talked to them about some of the things they had ideas on, but we don't know what happened. Third, it involves the schools. What's being done about flood prevention for Sugar Mill Elementary? This is the first time it has gotten flooded, and like these other people, all of this extra stuff is being built, and you can see that it's higher than the school, and they don't have enough drainage because the water's flooding the school. And finally, is there any plans to fix Herbert Street around not Sugar Mill, but Silver Sands? Because there's getting to be a lot of holes along the edges, and it's going to be a major repair if they don't do something about the minor repair now. Those are my 4 things this time, but you will be seeing me constantly. Thank you.
No worries.
Thanks.
Hang out for a few minutes if you can.
Oh, I'll be here.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Was there any others, Amanda? That's it. All right, moving on to council comments. We're going to start with Councilman Green tonight.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. I've got a little speech I've prepared based on some happenings in my life as of recently. And I just want to say good evening to everyone. Tonight I come before you with a heavy heart and an overwhelming sense of responsibility. As you are aware, I was recently arrested for driving under the influence. I want to begin by expressing my sincere apologies for my actions and my consequences they have brought upon myself and for those around me. First and foremost, I owe an apology to the Port Orange Police Department. I understand that by putting myself in this situation, not only did I break the law, but I also showed a lack of respect for the very people who work tirelessly to keep my community safe. I am deeply sorry for any disrespect that transpired during this incident. You deserve better from me, and I take full responsibility for my actions. Next, I want to address my wife, my beloved partner. I apologize to you for putting you in a position where you felt the need to protect me. I am sorry for the worries and the stress I have caused you, and you have always been my rock. I regret the burden I placed on your shoulders, and I promise to work hard to regain your trust and to be the husband you deserve. To my family, I want to say I am truly sorry for letting you down. Your love and support has been my guiding light throughout my life, and I recognize that my actions has caused disappointment. I am committed to making amends and showing you that I can be better. I also want to reach out to the couple that I ran into in this incident. I'm grateful that you were not injured, and I sincerely apologize for the fear and the disruption that I caused. No one should have to endure such scare based because of my reckless behavior. I hope you can find in your heart to forgive me in this situation. Lastly, to the citizens of Port Orange, I never intended to bring this negativity to the city I've called home for over 60 years. This community means everything to me. I understand that my actions have cast a shadow on our shared values and pride. I am truly sorry for any embarrassment or concern that I have caused. I'm only human, and I made a careless mistake, and it's cost me dearly in many ways. I want to assure you that moving forward, I am dedicated to becoming a better man, a better person, a better husband, a better father, and a better grandfather. I am committed to learning from this experience and using it as a catalyst for positive change in my life. I promise you that I will take all the proactive steps to ensure this never happens again. I will continue seeking help and engage in programs that promote responsible behavior. I owe it to myself, I owe it to my family, and I owe it to this community. Thank you for listening. I appreciate your understanding, as I support on this and I embark on this journey of redemption. Together, I believe I can turn this mistake and lessons into a benefit, not only for me, but for my community. Thank you. And that's all I have.
Anything else, my friend?
Not today.
Okay. I'll go next. Talk about a couple of items that were discussed tonight that were already in our comments. But so the city previously hired, as you all know. By the way, has everybody had a chance to meet with Kimley Horn and go through that? You guys are all good with that? Okay. So the city previously, after Ian, hired and contracted Kimley Horn to do an extensive study that would allow us to address some of the stormwater concerns, improve upon the infrastructure we have, and be able to model that. And one of the most important things is that as we acquire the funding to do these projects, we will now have a much different level of confidence that they will work. And that's really, really been important. In the past, a lot of engineers and folks go in and look at these projects, and we work to get the funding and we execute the projects. But I don't know that we've ever had this level of confidence in the modeling with what they've done to be able to know that some of these projects, which are incredibly expensive, but we'll get there, will actually work and they'll do what they're designed to do. So with that regard, they have completed that study. They have presented that. We have all met individually and had extensive talks with them. And we have now scheduled a public workshop that will be Tuesday, March the 25th of this month at 5:30. We normally start at 6:30, so I encourage you to make note that it is a 5:30 start time. City Manager, are we having that here in these chambers?
Here.
So it'll be here in the chambers. That will be a workshop. We will go through the study that Kimley Horn has completed, as well as 9 projects that have been identified. Now, I will say that 9 projects that have been identified that we are pushing and moving those forward, that isn't everything. There will be other things. It also should be noted that there are areas outside the boundaries of the city of Port Orange that significantly impact the city and what happens in stormwater. It's probably not the best way to describe it, but in some regards, and you'll hear this, we're the bottom of the funnel. So you have a lot of areas that are far north of us. Their stormwater moves. Everything ultimately has to go out of Ponce Inlet. So when you're the northern cities and it's flowing to the south, Port Orange is kind of, for lack of a better descriptive, in the bottom of that funnel. So we have to try to work with those partners as well. We're going to try to monitor what those other cities, county, and state level partners, and possibly even the federal government, we'll talk about that more, on what they're doing to try to work all this out. But that being said, some of the projects that are closest, in fact, to a lot of the folks that are in the room tonight, we will be talking about those at the end of this month on March the 25th. So I encourage you to come to that. Additionally, the city staff, myself, and some other folks will be in Tallahassee next week. We have already begun the process of trying to acquire state dollars to help fund some of these projects. You will see in the workshop, some of these are very, very expensive. Some of them require land acquisition. We've already started the process of land acquisition for some of these properties. We're working to identify other properties. I will just comment on that one note. I get a lot of people who say, well, what about buying this piece of property? Well, one of the things that this modeling does is it lets us know very quickly, if we try to acquire property X, will that benefit us at all? Will it do anything? And if so, how much will it benefit? And I will let you know that some of the properties that we have looked at and considered, they won't provide any benefit to us. So acquiring them doesn't do any good for us. Other properties, yes, they do provide some benefit, but now this modeling and this amount of research will also help with that as well. As on another note, and I sent this to council members in your email file and to the city manager, one of the things that, and this will require some consensus from the council, that's why I'm talking this and bringing these to you guys tonight. We're not looking for a decision tonight. In fact, I'll be looking for you to provide individual input directly to the city manager. But one of the things I would like to see is a section on our website that's very easy to find, something right on the homepage that we're going to have, because this is a long, this isn't happening overnight, right? We all know that. So we need a section on our website that our residents can find very quickly, very easily, anytime they want to know about what's going on with regards to flooding concerns and stormwater. And so I've outlined a draft. Those are just some ideas in my mind that I think will help. I want to make sure we've got a good FAQ section on there, because we do get a lot of similar questions and common questions that are asked. That information's been put out there, but we want to make sure that it's easily retrievable, so that as we are speaking with residents, or residents are coming before us, or they're talking with staff, we can easily direct them to this site to say, hey, take a look at this. There's a lot of information here. So anyhow, take a look at that email, send some information to the city manager. I think the city manager has already indicated that he believes Kimley Horn can also help us with how to design that and provide information that's easy for residents to access and see that. But it'll have a little bit of everything. It'll have a history of projects that we've already done, projects that we're working on, the projects we're identifying now that'll be talked about in the workshop, timelines, common questions, all those different kinds of things. We do have some stuff on there, but mostly what's on there now is more about how folks can communicate with FEMA and different programs that are available. So what I'm talking about is actually something just a little bit different, but it does need to be very user-friendly. So that's the concept that I've got on that. I want to thank the Chamber of Commerce. They put on a Heroes Dinner last week to recognize our police officer and firefighter of the year. And I just got to say, man, they went all out. It was an incredibly well put together class act event. It was something that was definitely worthy of recognizing our public safety reps that have been selected for those positions from Southeast Volusia County. They did an excellent job. So I just want to publicly say thank you to the chamber. And that's all I got tonight. How about you, Sean?
Yes, so the stormwater issues, sitting up here and hearing the pain that you're going through really is probably the worst part of being up here. And when we give you 3 minutes to share your issues and we can't respond because we're taking away your time, and this gives us the time to respond. This city is not flooding houses. Mother Nature is. But what this city's going to do, and I believe what this team up here is going to do, is everything we can to prevent it in the future. And it does not happen overnight. And I spent personally 2 hours with Kimberly Horn last week, and this project is huge. And it's exciting to know that this city, back after Ian, decided we have got to do something, and this something is going to happen with what Scott shared with you about this study and the things that, you know, me as a person thinks, oh man, if we could just dig a ditch there, it ought to alleviate that. And then you find out that no, it's not going to help at all. So we're going to be throwing good money at bad situations. But the experts that are, and this isn't our staff, these are experts that do this throughout the state, are bringing some great information to us and some hopefully solutions. But here's the deal. If you get 15 to 20 inches, there aren't many solutions. There just aren't. It's just an anomaly. If you lived in a house for 20 years, you probably never flooded until Ian. And then you maybe flooded again at Milton. But those are amounts of rain that this city didn't pour on us, that Mother Nature did, and we can spend 100, what's the number going to be, 100+ million to do everything we can, and we're going to do it. But it might not be, if we get a direct hit from the east side, these were tropical storms that were hurricanes that just dumped a bunch of rain. And I asked the tough questions. Does this help 15 inches of rain? And their answer is, we're going to do the best we can to help. So these letters that are going out, these repeated flood events on properties, I got to sit through the county information town hall that our staff put on with the county's help and FEMA out at Colony in the Woods that had a lot of homes flood. And this storm was something else. It wasn't the city flooding homes. And we're going to do our part. And I just want you to attend these meetings that we're going to be discussing in the future about how we're going to go about this. Like he said, they've identified 9 major areas, which is Sugar Forest area and Willow Run. And there's some great solutions I think will help. But we as a team, I know we're going to do everything we can. Thank you for bringing the issue about speeding through neighborhoods. There's nothing more frustrating than me as a citizen and having 3 kids grow up in this community to hear cars race down roads. And tickets don't work. Other solutions have to happen. So I hope that we can look at that and prevent a tragedy that ultimately, unfortunately, does happen when people speed through neighborhoods. And I know that neighborhood, and something's got to be done. So I appreciate you bringing that to our attention, and hopefully we can work on that. But tickets don't work. Something else has to happen. A ticket's a temporary solution to one's problem of speeding. And that is all I've got for now.
All right, thank you. Councilman Foley.
Oh man, where do I want to start with this? I guess since we're talking about stormwater, I'll start with that. My position on this, or my opinions on this, are very strong, and they're very personal because I flooded twice, and that's one thing I have in common with people when you come up here and speak. My house right now is wrapped in Tyvek. I still don't have a dining room table because I have flooring that I'm fixing, and you know I'm going through the process with the rest of you. So it irritates the daylight out of me to hear things are going to take a while, and I wouldn't have a tolerance for it if it wasn't for the fact that I work on the government side too, and I know the processes, and it's so frustrating. Just like we've talked about in the last several meetings, she's not here tonight, but we've talked about code enforcement. The government, not just city, but state, county, et cetera, has done a great job of creating all these processes that you have to go through. You can't just go A to B, you have to go A to ZYX1732 and then get to B. And so, unfortunately, that's just the reality with a lot of things. I did sit in on this project, this Stormwater Master Plan, which we're going to talk about at the end of this month. And I will say it is encouraging to see not just one, but I think there was 9. Was there 9? 9 different projects that when they model them out on a computer, they show why they're a benefit versus something else. And they were able to show me in that period of time that I sat with them 2-3 hours of, we tried this and it only helped 2 homes, but when we did this it helped 36. They were able to do that. They were also able to show me how the system would work really, really well. You know, you see 4 o'clock, 5 o'clock, 6 inches, 8 inches, 10 inches, and then all of a sudden it's like it just overspills like out of a bowl. The modeling was done using LiDAR and satellite imagery. If you don't know what LiDAR is, everything's with a laser, right? And they're able to, and not only did they do that as a kind of 10,000 foot view, when they get specifically into the projects of the neighborhoods that are affected, like Sugar Forest, like Sleepy Hollow, they're going back and they're going to go actually around there and remodel things and make sure it's accurate. Because the thing is, this is going to be very expensive to overtake. This is not a 7-figure thing. This is not an 8-figure thing. This is over 9 figures. We're talking over $100 million in projects, in 9 of them that we have to get funding for and that we have to start implementing. And some projects are going to take a long time because they're more expensive, so we have to get that funding. I want to put one thing at rest because I've heard it so many times, and I know it's a suggestion out of frustration. The money for the park bond can only be used for not only just parks, it has to be used very specifically for the parks that were in the bond that we suggested. We cannot grab that money and use it for this. I think everyone up here understands that on the dais, and I need my residents to understand, because I want solutions and I want them yesterday, as I know you do. But I also do not want to get in a situation where we are in trouble with other government entities for using funds we're not allowed to use for things we're not allowed to use them for. All right. I can't wait for the 25th because I can't wait for more answers to these questions. I want you guys to see what I saw. It made me feel better about where we are going. I don't feel any better about where we are now because we haven't been able to do very many things. We've been able to do very limited things because that's all we had the ability, the finance, and everything else to do. But I do feel very good about the presentation. I think they're going to be able to answer a lot of questions, and I think it's going to provide some solutions that are going to work. And that's what I feel good about. I also wanted to touch on, speaking of repave, I don't know about the Herbert Street thing, but Florida DOT let me know because of the TPO that Nova is being designed to be repaved, and I don't know why they're telling us now, but they're expecting the design to be between now and fall 2026. And once it's funded, they'll get it done. They expect to be completely repaved. It'll be from US 1 to Herbert Street. They let me know about that. Like I said, that's over a year and a half away, but I'm assuming the reason they did that is because if funding shows up in the DOT, they may bump that project up, and they want us to be able to let people know now. So that's that. As far as the Sarah with the four-way stop and that, appreciate you guys coming in. Sleepy Hollow has a lot of kids. I have an 8-year-old in there who likes to ride his bike, and it scares me. The speed limit in there is 25, and I do 25, and it scares me, and I've started slowing down to 20. I don't know how anyone can go faster than that around homes and children. So I'll meet with the city manager to talk about that, because this is not the first issue in the city that I've seen with similar things. And finally, just a little bit of exciting thing. I find it exciting. In my entire time here, I love Port Orange University. It has been so great. It starts on March 10th. If you haven't heard of it, you should look into it. Check out the city website. It is a great way to learn about how our city actually functions and some of the great leaders in our cities in different departments. It's been a thing that Christine started years ago, and she did, and now Michael's been doing a great job with it. So Mike Springer, appreciate him running this up, and it starts on the 10th. I think this class is already full, but they do it every 4 or 6 months or something like that. About every spring. Every spring. Well, maybe we need to do it more often. Either way, it's a great program, and it's really awesome. And so it's called Port Orange University, and it's where they'll take you over several days, show you what gets done maybe on the daily at the police department, fire department. You'll learn about community development. You get to. It's just an awesome program.
Don't forget the sewer department.
That's right, absolutely. Public Works. It is a really neat program where you can learn a lot about how the city actually functions. I can't recommend it enough, and I'm fully support doing it twice a year if I can get Mike to do so. So anyway, I know that's a lot, but yeah. Thanks.
Councilman Grubbs.
So going into Kimberly Horn master stormwater plan, March 25th, I will tell you, meeting with them and seeing, like all the councilmen up here have talked about, seeing the models physically and the data that they put together is pretty outstanding. And they're right. They took the models, and you guys will be able to see this, and they show it by inches of rain in these communities and where that bubble bursts. And that 15 to 18 inches is traumatic. And it's not just one community. It's like a quarter of the city. Just the screen's blue. You go, that's not good. And that's one of the things that we need to make sure that we're trying to strive for here is understanding where the computer models allow us to know where's the limitation to how much money you throw to it. And I know that sounds bad because we want to throw as much money as we possibly can, but it's got to make sense. The 9 projects is over $100 million, and I instantly went, Port Orange needs to start playing the lottery so we can get the money faster and possibly fund all these projects. But what they did do is went in to find where the most problematic areas were to try to figure out what was going to be the best solution for dollars to houses, I guess is the best way of explaining it. If you spend $2 million and it saves 50 homes, that's better than spending $2 million on one home. And I don't want to lose any homes, but there's got to be a sense of reality to this. So March 25th, that date, 5:30 here in these chambers, I hope those that are watching YouTube and everything for Port Orange, this place will be filled. So you can ask them the questions we ask them. There's much more that needs to be done. This is a 2-year study. I wasn't even up here when Scott and Reed were the only ones up here that had the knowledge to vote in the money to be provided for this study to be done. Without these studies, Port Orange residents need to understand is without these studies, us going out and trying to find the money wouldn't happen. Federal government, state government entities, and FEMA don't provide a whole lot of money unless you have projects that are proven and ready to go forward. So here we are, we're 2 years, we have this ready. What's that mean to us? Well, those dollars are available now by the state and local and federal governments that they're bringing these dollars up. And there's a lot of cities around us that are just now starting their studies. So I have to give staff and the 2 councilmen that was up here during that time frame kudos for getting the ball rolling. 2 years has been a long time. Nobody wants a house to flood. 2 years is a long time, and it's going to take time to be able to do these projects, to get the projects rolling, and to try to solve it so we don't have to deal with this again. Nobody wants that. So please be here on March 25th, because it's going to take everybody's voice to hear this and be able to get things moving. And what I mean by things moving, it's not just council sitting up here. It's your county and state representatives that need to be contacted also. They need to hear it just as strong as we need it so this can proceed and go forward. On consent agendas tonight, we had a consent agenda number 10. I just want to go over that real quickly and point out that Turkey Rod Run, those that know that happens every Thanksgiving in Daytona Beach, they raise a lot of money. And the reason I want to point that out is in the consent agenda, it kind of got glossed over. Turkey Rod Run actually provided $50,000 to us for a grant for the All Children's Playground Park. So these are the things that outside entities outside of Port Orange with ECHO grants and other community development areas provide for us too. So I want to make sure we give a shout out to them. To the city staff, we had a showing at Atlantic High School the other day. Probably had 12 of us there at least from all the departments for the Academy of Law.
Great program.
Phenomenal program. These kids got to sit down with staff members one-on-one and learn their positions so they can actually do a mock city inside the school and run their departments just like we do. Pretty unique to see 16 to 17-year-olds sitting there and actually engaging and asking detailed questions that you wouldn't see a young youth be able to do, but pretty phenomenal. Let's see here. One of the other things that was in discussions this week, and I want to make sure the rest of council understands what we're going through, and some of the things that I've asked for is dealing with e-vehicles being E1s, E2s, dealing with bicycles. We had a traumatic fatality this past week, unfortunately, with an e-vehicle. And some of the things that is concerning is we have electric bikes that do up to 28 miles an hour now. And we have electric bikes that don't have to have kids with helmets on them. I don't know about you, but 15 miles an hour and flying off a bike and doing a header into a vehicle, it's not going to be a likely thing to see, let alone it's going to be traumatic for the family. So please, if you're watching this, make sure that you understand regulations and things of that nature for LSVs, E1, E2s. The county parks have signs up for it. I'm hoping that the chief will come back with a proposal for amendments inside codes for us for the city to keep our kids safe. As our sidewalk systems grow and get larger, as insurance keeps rising on vehicles, it's becoming a more popular mode of transportation around town. So it's something that we need to be proactive and get ahead of, I think, for regulation. So I've asked the chief and city manager to look into things. So I'll be looking for that in the future. And then lastly is Miss Sarah. You did a phenomenal job tonight. Thank you. She reached out to me, and Cross Creek subdivision is my home. I have complained about stop signs and people running stop signs on the north side of our community for a long time, going into Sunset Cove and coming back over into Town Park. But at the same time, police presence came in and we requested that. They did a good job, and they put a permanent sign up that's an LED flasher showing the speed going one way. The issue in my mind is when they go southbound on Hidden Lake, there's no speed control sign reminding them that they're on a straight strip now, and now they're flying, and they blow through that intersection. I'm with you. I think one of the things that could possibly be done is a four-way stop there. But in studies, having the police department do their jobs and doing the study on that to make sure that's going to be the proper thing so we don't jeopardize other wrecks in that area. I want them to be able to do that, and also do the speed study the opposite direction to make sure we're not just seeing one side, we get both sides of that speed. So we're fixing the area. I always say signage is a beautiful thing, and there's a law firm here in town that puts signs up that says "Slow Down," sponsored by Esquire Attorneys. Call us. They don't do that just because. Kids are kids, and they will run out in the streets, and people aren't paying attention with cell phones and everything else. And I think we need to try to figure out how to slow them down as best we can. So I think the proposal you gave to me the other day on the four-way stop is a fantastic ideal. So hopefully they'll come back with the studies and they'll say the same thing to us. But thank you for the representation, and I urge all community. She did a beautiful job. She PM'd me first, and then I told her to call my cell phone, and she calls me. We had the conversation, and I says, what do we need to do? Write down exactly what you told me, and I says, send it to council so council actually knows what you're talking about. And I says, and then you need to come and you need to represent. Just don't send an email, represent. It's this process of knowing what goes on other than just an email, and then you wonder if the email gets answered. It's representative that all of us have seen it. You came and you showed, and you did exactly what a community comes together to do, and I want to thank you for that, because that's how we get things done. So
Thank you. He did reply to my email. I got your reply.
So thank you on that. I'm gonna let you slide from there.
So I'm gonna add one more to that for the city manager, and for those that haven't been on council very long. So the city has always had a history, along with most cities throughout the entire state of Florida, is we don't do speed bumps. And that discussion comes up periodically. But with the last council, we had a little bit of a discussion about some of the newer options that are out there, traffic calming options and devices, which are more like these gradual humps and things like that. And so we have directed the city manager to take a look at some of that and maybe consider a couple of places and almost do test case and study and see, like, are these going to be efficient? There's obviously a cost. Not every road is going to fit that, because there's going to be things like you can't put it in front of somebody's driveway and things like that. So, but Mr. City Manager, if you could bring that back to us for a meeting, so that we can at least have that discussion as a council as to whether or not those types of options are something we want to start considering and allowing, probably case by case, but maybe at least finding a couple of locations that are having these really excessive programs, or problems rather, where the speed studies have validated that there is a major concern. Because I got to be honest with you, I had a 20-plus year career in law enforcement. You can sign this city to death, and signs just really only, there's a lot of limitations there. Strict enforcement, writing tickets help. My experience has always been, you know who gets the most tickets? It's usually the people who live in that neighborhood, which is always I can't tell you how many times I wrote a ticket to somebody and they're like, I'm the one that called and complained. I'm like, well, I know, but you're doing 12 mile an hour over the speed limit. And so, you see that a lot. But I think some of these physical options, these traffic calming options, may be worth exploring and us trying a couple of places, and let's see if we can get some results out of it. So bring that back to us when you get a chance, and let's have a conversation and see what those options might look like for
I'm seeing
locations.
more and more cities that are doing
Yeah.
this on some of the, and there's called speed tables now.
Yeah.
Because speed bumps you can't do for the fire truck and you can't do for the garbage truck.
Right.
So they're now called speed tables, and they got the paint where it narrows down, and there's a sign that says speed hump, and I'm seeing more and more cities doing them in bigger, again, Willow Run I think would be a perfect location to try one, but I think they're called speed tables now, and they're up and they're flat, but if you hit it more than 15 mile an hour, you're gonna know
Yeah,
it.
you're gonna know about it. Yeah.
Mayor, let me talk about one thing on this.
Sure,
real
go
quick.
ahead, jump in there.
Last little thing is, this deals in 2 weeks. Council has on the agenda dealing with fluoride. And what I gave the rest of council up here, so we're publicly talking about this before 2 weeks. So one of the big concerns is dealing with eliminating or adding or whatever it is for the fluoride concern with water. Is those services or children that may be without fluoride in their water and what it may affect with their teeth. So did a little research. This is for you guys to do research further with. This is from the state of Florida. Florida Health Department, Volusia County, actually gives to underprivileged or concernings of youth from ages 1 through 18 with fluoride toothpastes and dental care. So this is a program that's out there that's free to them. So when you guys are doing your research, this is one of those things that came up with the questionings last time. So I wanted to make sure y'all had that.
Good. All right, city attorney comments.
Nothing tonight, Mayor.
Mr. City Manager,
A
all
couple-
that so far, you've got a couple comments.
I had to write,
right? So
there's
go
enough of them, I
ahead.
had to write stuff down to remember it. So a couple of follow-ups. So on the Cross Creek information, so it was very thorough. It was already provided to us a couple of days back, so it's already been given to the police department, who are beginning another speed study in the area. The last one was done about 2 years ago. As you heard, she mentioned that the number of people who were compliant with speed in that area is about 70% 2 years ago, which is low. So there was a lot of activity in there as far as enforcement. So we'll be doing another one of those now. The traffic calming pilot or looking at some other areas might take a little longer, but while we're doing that, we can get a study in that area done quicker and at least see if there's short-term solutions, like you were mentioning with signage or something. But the longer, I want to make sure that there was something going to happen in the short term, not just the longer term, because that will take longer. Even if we decide to come back and do that, you got to design it and get it constructed. So there'll be a short term and a longer term there. So follow up on a couple of the items that came up during the flooding, just a couple of updates on things coming forward. So the Cambridge project has already been under design, so the people who live in the Cambridge area experience flooding. When the berm failed in Nicole, and we've had that temporary wall in place since then. So we're at about 60% on the design for the permanent replacement, which is elevating the berm and then piping the outfall of the pump east of the railroad track, so you're not going north and trying to go through the train tracks. That's 60%. We're there. The plans are now off at the Army Corps of Engineers. We need their authorization before we go much farther forward in design. So on that pace, it comes out of design and permitting later in the year, and then we can start construction early next year. But that one's already moving forward, although there is stuff in the Stormwater Master Plan on that. One of the benefits of the master plan, so we had already started down the process of that project, and as they started looking at the Cambridge area, they found a couple of other things that were impeding the function in that area of the stormwater system. So those improvements will be done as it will be tagged on or coming in behind them. So that was one where we had a start, and the plan identified something to make it even better. But for that one, it's underway, so we help people that there's things going on. The Pepper Hill Madeline Pond area, we bought the land. at the next meeting, there's an actual agenda item for a contract to start the design process on that. So we're going to go ahead and start designing it. When we went to the state to look for money for it, we had told them we already acquired the land, we're going to pay for the design, and that was part of our pitch to them is we're just asking you to split the cost of building it. So that one's moving forward. There'll be actual activity on it to begin the design process going forward. So there's projects moving forward. In addition to that, so you saw how long it took. It took 2 hours to get, some of you were longer than 2 hours to get through those 9 projects. So the concept of the workshop was mostly informational to you because there are 9 projects that affect 9 different areas of the city. It could take a day to have constant, if there was a big back and forth on 9 projects, we'll be here for 6 or 7 hours. So the thought process is to overview them on the 25th, and then we're going to go and do individual meetings in the areas so that if you are from Southwinds, you don't want to sit through 2 hours of conversation about Cambridge or Sleepy Hollow. So we're going to go to those areas so that the people who are affected by them in those projects can focus on their own issues and not have to be a part of being the other one. So you're welcome to come to all 9 if you want to. Nobody will be stopped. But we thought the best way to have them talk to them, we'll wear those poor guys out if we try to do all that in one meeting. So the 25th is an overview of the 9 projects, and then there will be follow-ups as they get closer to the end of the plan on each one of the individual projects for the people who it impacts. That's all I have.
That's some good information there. You guys, those that will come to the meetings will see, some of these projects, the concepts and design and what we would like to try to do there might benefit 500 homes. Other projects might benefit 15 to 20. They're all important. But the areas around Port Orange, what do we come up with? So the potential flooding structures from the last 2 major storms is about 4% or 5% in the city?
That's correct. It was a little over 1,000 homes. There's about 25,000 residential structures and another 5,000 commercial. So 1,000 of 30,000 structures.
Yeah. So you're looking, 5% of the structures in Port Orange have sustained flood damage over those 2, either one of or both of those storms. But they are geographically located in different areas around the city where the type of projects and what needs to be done to help that and mitigate that and improve that are going to be significantly different. What we refer to as that Pepper Hill property really has a lot to do with the long range project for Sugar Forest. One of the things you'll see in the modeling, I don't want to be the spoiler, but the acquisition of property alone and just creating a retention pond actually doesn't do much at all to help the area. But that, in addition to some of the other elements in the project, we believe can significantly help the area. But then there's also going to be a portion of that pertains to the Nova Canal system and what happens north of us, which is going to be in the hands of the state and the Army Corps of Engineers. So there's a lot of moving parts and pieces. So I appreciate the city manager. He framed this a lot better. We can get, meaning the staff and the engineers and stuff like that, deep into a lot of details. That won't necessarily happen at this particular meeting, but we're going to do we're going to get a lot of information out there, have a lot of really good discussion, because up till now, none of us can have that discussion as a group. This has all been individual stuff because of the way the laws are in the state of Florida. So that'll be our really first bite to really do this collectively as a group. But that being said, the city team will have additional meetings that will be very specific to project areas, and those are going to be equally as important. So there's a process to this, and I know people we wish we had that one and could make it happen overnight. That's just not reality. It's not going to happen that way. But we want people to stay engaged in the process so they understand what the processes are and have confidence that as we do these projects, they are going to significantly help these areas. So anyhow, appreciate that. Anything else? Okay, thank you. Okay, moving on to item 14. This is the joint annual meeting, members and directors of the Port Orange Property Development. I call the annual meeting of the members of the Board of Directors of the Port Orange Property Development to order. Roll call, please.
Councilman Foley? Oh, sorry. Scott Stillman?
Here.
Jonathan Foley?
Here.
Tracy Grubbs?
Here.
Sean Gifford?
Here.
Lance Green?
Here.
On attendance, item 2, do I have any objection to the notice of the meeting? Hearing no objection, the notice is accepted. Item 3, do I have a motion to approve the minutes of the March 19th, 2024 meeting of the Members, Directors, and Design Review Board?
So moved.
Do I have a second?
Second.
All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Those opposed, like sign. Item 4, election of officers to the Board of Directors. Do I have a nomination for the position of chairman?
I'll move to nominate Sean Geffert.
Have a second?
I'll second it.
All in favor of Councilman Geffert being the chairman of this board, signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Congratulations, sir.
Thank you.
Item B, do I have a nomination for the position of vice chairman? This is where you can get even.
Yep.
I'll move to nominate Lance Green.
You guys are too slow down there. Do I have a second?
I'll second it.
Good job, Tracy.
All in favor of Lance Green as the vice chairman, signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Those opposed? 5-0. Item C, do I have a nomination for the position of president?
Most certainly
I'll
do.
nominate Tracy Grubbs.
Do I have a second?
Second.
Those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Those opposed, like sign. Titles are getting narrower. Item D, do I have a nomination for the position of vice chair? Or, I'm sorry, vice president?
Yeah, I'll nominate Scott Stiltner to be vice
I
president.
would happily accept that.
Second.
All in favor of me being the vice president, signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Those opposed? Do I have a nomination for position of secretary?
Yeah.
Do you have
Would
one?
be Jonathan Foley.
Okay. Do I have a second for that?
Second.
Those in favor of Councilman Foley being the secretary on this board, signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Those opposed?
You have to type all the
It's like a
minutes.
secretary.
Yeah, right?
That's why I didn't put that.
Item F, can I get a motion to elect Linda Truitt, Assistant City Finance Director, for the position of treasurer to this board?
So moved.
Do I have a second?
Second.
A motion and a second. Those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Those opposed, like sign. And item 5, any further business to come before the Board of Members, corporate?
Mayor,
of the
we have
Board
a
of
hand up in the
Directors?
audience. I'm not sure what the policy is on that for this particular.
City Attorney, do we have a?
We're having public comment for this.
No
No public
comments on
comment
this?
on this?
Okay. You can give it me after.
I was just gonna ask if you could explain what this is. There's a lot of people out here who don't understand what you just did.
All right. Sounds good. Get with us. Item 15, report for Kipper Sports of Cypress Head Golf Course. You've been to these meetings before, Stan, you know.
I know that, but everybody else has been a lot
I
of
got
people
you.
out here, that's all I'm saying.
Mayor.
Welcome,
Mayor?
sir.
Yeah,
Yes.
we need
For
to-
the record, you need to adjourn.
Oh, well, kind of a motion to adjourn that meeting?
So moved.
Second?
Second.
All in favor, signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Aye. Welcome. Kemper Sports, talk to us about
Good
it.
evening, Mayor and council members. Jeff Dayton here, Cypress Head Golf Club, reporting on the months November, December, January. So it's been a pretty good run. November was a great month for golf in Florida. Had a great financial month with $23,000 net profit. December was another good month. And then we got slapped in the face January, obviously, with record cold temperatures, 10 unplayable days. Good news is we only lost $7,000 to the bottom line, which is pretty incredible. And year to date through January, we're still $17,000 to the good. So we're ahead of budget. We had a great February, and knock on wood, March is going to pan out too. But revenues year to date through January were $700,000, slightly under budget, but we're making some up on the bottom with payroll and operating expenses. We're under payroll for $15,000. We're under operating expenses by $68,000. So that's where we're kind of making up the difference. Rounds, we're under budget year to date by over 1,000 rounds, about 1,055. Prior year, we're down by a little over 600. So a little down, but we hope to catch that up. Course is doing great, even considering that the cold spell that we had. Most of the courses suffered a lot of trauma to their greens, if you will. We're better than most. So while our course is not maybe as nice as we would like it, it's still in great condition. And we're getting great reviews. Our NPS over the past 6 months, our Net Promoter Score is 88.6, which is very high. We'd like to be around 90. Our company standard is 70, which is very good, but we're 88.6. Course conditions, out of 10, we got a 9.4 from our surveys, and service satisfaction 9.8. So our team's doing great. They're performing great. Our car path project finally completed itself. Didn't complete itself, but finally got completed. So there's a minor cleanup, but the reviews on that is great. Everybody's backs are really appreciating the smoother car paths out there. So it's been really good. Heading to finish up the second quarter, we've got a lot of charity events. We're starting to hit our tournament season. So we just had the Spruce Creek Academy of Finance tournament this past weekend with 136 players. We've got several other tournaments coming up. Our tournament pipeline on Saturdays is booked through June right now. So the inventory is light on Saturdays. Everybody wants to play their tournaments on Saturdays. So for events that are willing to go on another day, we have inventory. But other than that, it's going to be July. We're hosting the Drive, Chip, and Putt local qualifier in June. So that's exciting for junior golf. We just booked 4 U.S. Kids Tour events for July and August. Remember, a little slower, so we're continuing to support the junior golf. And I think I talked about this last time, but we're really excited about our upcoming greens aeration techniques. It's going to be less intrusive. The course won't shut down as long, and we'll have less unplayable times and days, so we're excited about that. And the big project we're working on to try to get out for proposal right now is our bunker project. So we've been talking about this now for a year or two. It's supposed to go out to bid here soon, and we're hoping to get that started by September, October, November. So it's still hopeful, but we've got to get the ball rolling. So that's where we're at. Things are pretty good. Life is pretty good, as long as the sun's shining.
I will share with you, a few weeks ago, I had a very positive comments about the condition of the course, even through tough weather this summer or this past winter. And the person noted that a couple of the other courses in our area have not done very well. So that's a credit to your team and your staff, because you got to deal with Mother Nature when it comes, and,
right.
and you got to react and make the best of it and take advantage of opportunities to quickly improve those conditions. And I got some comments that were very favorable, so that's nice to hear.
That's good to
for
hear.
sure. Yeah.
I've noticed some other courses too. You know, Darren's has his share of stress, but he's done a pretty good job.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, and that gets out in that community, and
Yeah.
not that they won't go back to those other courses, but they're not going to go back until conditions are much better.
Right.
So I think that works in our favor too. So, any questions? Go ahead.
You go first, Lance. Go ahead.
No, I just want to say, Jeff, again, I want to commend you and the staff. I mean, you have really turned that place around over the last handful of years. I mean, it has come so far, and for us to go out there and have all of the cart path project done, great job on that. I mean, it was about a smooth transition on some hard work.
Yes.
I mean, I put them paths in, and I know what it takes to get concrete out on the 5th fairway, and they really did a good job. It was clean. They were respectable. I mean, I know it took a little time, but a great job overall and huge improvement.
Yes.
But again, you guys rebounding from the cold and to make the course what it is, we've done just doing a really good job, and I get nothing but positive comments on what you guys are doing. And obviously the weekly raffle is a big, or whenever that raffle is, when you guys that's a big deal, man.
Yeah.
Giving away some good stuff on that raffle. But keep up the good work. I mean, Port Orange couldn't be happier with what you're doing.
Thank you.
Awesome. Just looking through everything, how's the range doing month to month, year over year? What would you say? Is it about pretty flat, or is it up?
It's up. It's honestly, we need to take it to another level. We're looking at 2026 as a possible tee and ground expansion on the course, which might turn into a tee box expansion on the driving range. But also we need to install a artificial tee line at the rear of it so we can utilize it more at nights. And there's many times when people are waiting for spots this time of year.
Yeah.
But when we do our Google search for keywords that people look at, driving range is like the tops of every Google search.
So I just went and played down used Turnbull Bay's new top tracer for the first time, and I'd love to just see what the stomach would be for us to consider adding that, because I happen to know one of the people who works down there, and they've 10x'd their revenue on their driving range because everyone wants to go play this thing. You scan in with your phone, it tracks your shots, it tells you how far, how straight. It turns into a bit of a video game for people who want to, or if you don't like that, they have another section that is just regular old grass tees or regular old mats. But we took the family down there, kids and everything, and I mean, now we're planning a birthday party down there because it's such a cool thing. The kids were playing Angry Birds and things.
I love it. It's definitely a possibility.
I would love to see. I could see that as a smart decision for us to to boost revenue out there. It's like I'm glad to hear the range is doing good, but I would love for you guys to just kind of entertain that and see how everyone else feels about it, because I think that's that one in Turnbull is a good drive for a lot of people. It kind of sits back. It's 20-30 minutes from anywhere in Port Orange, and the next closest thing is going to be real Topgolf. We could have the location that's close for a lot of people, so just something to consider.
No, I've considered it, and I was close to doing it at my previous property. It's all about getting an artificial tee line down there first.
Yep.
And then making sure you can support it with a good F&B service, because that's where you really.
Is there any idea, if you explored it once before, any idea what the startup cost is on that by chance?
I mean, it depends how deep you go. If you go with covered bays, or if you go with just the technology out there where they can plug in with their phones, it could be anywhere from $90,000 to $400,000.
Even at that, from the numbers that I heard that Turnbull's doing, and I don't
You'll
know.
displace some business.
Yeah.
The guys that just want to go to hit balls, but if you've got enough tee space to accommodate,
Well, that's where I think they got it right but wrong. They have now 20 bays, and then they have like 6 regular tee spots. And I feel like it'd be better if it was like more of a 50-50 drawn out thing. So because some people just want to golf. They don't want to be around a bunch of kids while they're out there working on their shot. I understand that. But at the same time, if we're able to somehow implement that and it be half of our driving range and then half be regular, keep a little bit of separation between the two, there's got to be a way to do it.
There's no question that top tracer technology is one of the top trends in the golf business. I mean, it could work.
And I'd be fully behind exploring that.
Yeah.
On that note, Jeff, you really actually want read on your range and not on your course. So
save it for the homeowners.
And on the rubber tee mat.
Look into that.
I'm pretty sure the idiot's phone suggested bowling. Thanks, Jeff. Appreciate you.
Thank you, sir.
Thank you all.
Appreciate it.
Have a great night. Public hearing portion of the meeting, item 16, second reading of ordinance number 2025-07.
An ordinance of the City of Port Orange, Volusia County, Florida, amending Chapter 74, Article 8, Cross-Connection Control, Section 74-241 to update references to the revised Cross-Connection Control Manual, amending 74-242 to update references to the Florida Administrative Code, providing for immediate disconnection of prohibited cross-connections, amending 74-243 to update references to current version of the American Water Works Association Manual, amending 74-247, adding to the list of conditions that require cross-connection protections, amending section 74-248 and 249, updating references to the revised cross-connection control manual, along with establishing the frequency of maintenance, testing, and inspection, amending 74-252, updating references to cross-connection control ordinance, providing for codification, repeal of conflicting ordinances, severability, and an effective date.
Can I have a motion to approve on second reading ordinance number 2025-07?
So moved.
Have a second, please.
Second.
Any comments from council?
I don't have any on this
No?
issue.
Okay. Any comments from the public? Back to council. Call the roll.
Councilman Foley?
Yes.
Councilman Gephardt?
Yes.
Councilman Green?
Yes.
Vice Mayor Grubbs?
Yes.
Mayor Stiltner?
Yes, 5-0. Item 17, since you did so well, Mr. City Attorney, we'll try this one. Second reading of ordinance number 2025-08.
An ordinance of the City of Port Orange, Volusia County, Florida, approving the First Amendment to the Madeline Commons Plan Unit Development Master Development Agreement as it relates to the removal of requirements to install a fence adjacent to Sugar Mill Elementary School, providing for repeal of conflicting ordinances, severability, and effective date.
Make a motion to approve.
Second.
Any comments from council?
No, just again, I appreciate this.
Yep.
Yeah, I think this is a good swap.
Absolutely.
Yeah, this works out good. It brings a lot of safety right there to the area, for sure. Any comments from the public on this one? Back to council. Call the roll.
Councilman Foley?
Yes.
Councilman Gephardt?
Yes.
Councilman Green?
Yes.
Vice Mayor Grubbs?
Yes.
Mayor Stiltner?
Yes, 5-0. Council committee reports. Alicia Flagler, TPO. Councilman Foley.
I was unable to attend the meeting, and my liaison was also unable to attend the meeting, so nothing to report there. I read through the agenda minutes, and there was nothing really out of sight of standard business. So.
Okay. Item B, Fire Pension Board, Councilman Foley.
That meeting had to be rescheduled. They were unable to get a quorum, and so we are now meeting on, it is somewhere in my calendar, later at the end of this month we'll be meeting, and I'll provide a report once we have that meeting.
Police Pension Board, Councilman Green.
So I attended the meeting, my first, and it was very interesting and very informational. Couple things that we talked about. The plan is sitting just under $69 million right now, beginning 2024. This was the year ending of 2024, which is actually in September. Beginning 2024, it was at 61 million and some change. It had an increase of over $7.6 million, or just right at 12.5%. That's with employee contributions and city contributions and net gains of the plan itself. So like I said, year ending, it was just under 69 million. Quarter ending of 9/30, it actually went down a little bit. It went down by about 100,000 in the last quarter, but overall a decrease of 0.2%. We voted to amend the assumed rate of return from 6.85% to 6.75%. So the advisors and the money people in that basically said, you know, you can lower the expectations a little bit because it's performing. The audit was conducted by James Moore and Company, and they issued an unmodified position, which basically means they found no issues on anything in the report. A couple other things was that the estimated minimum requirement on the city contribution come next budget term is actually going to be down a little bit, down just under or just above 2%. It went from 3710 to 3574. So the contribution that the city is going to contribute next year is actually down a little bit. And then they had a couple of issues, like the Supreme Court denied to accept a jurisdiction in a matter of a benefit payment. And so the legal staff is handling the repercussions of that particular ruling. But overall, they have a great team of people. They have a great administrator. They got a really good financial advisor, and I mean it was on point. And the fund is healthy.
Awesome. Good report. On the General Employee Pension Board, I was not able to attend the last meeting. However, the financial assessment on it was a pretty good month for January at 2.96% increase, as we're seeing with all of the plans and stuff like that with the finance returns month to month and quarter to quarter. They can kind of bounce around. They seem to be doing that a lot lately, but this is more of a long-term commitment to these plans. Current market value was back over $40 million for the general employee plan. That includes cash on hand. There are some other elements in the from that meeting. I will get a briefing, get an update, and I'll bring those back in my council comments at the next meeting. But I've also sent you guys copies of the meeting packet and the agenda and stuff like that, so you can take a look at that. Any other items to come before the council tonight? No? Oh. With that being said, have a good night.